My birthday is March the 4th. I was born in 1941. My sister, my first sister, birthday is March 1st, 1942, so there wasn't quite a year's difference in our ages. And we always had our, if we had I can't ever remember but 2 birthday parties. And I'm fixing to tell you about one of them. We lived, and this is when I was staying with my mother. My mother and father divorced in 51. This birthday party was in, was it 54 or 55? Anyway, I was 14 and my sister was 13. And my mother and my stepfather said we could have a birthday party, but we would have to handle all the stuff. So there was no adult supervision. My mother and stepdad left for about 3 or 4 hours that night. And our party started at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And of course, we were having it together. And it wasn't really organized, so to speak. We just put the word out we was having a party. There wasn't no daggone cake. There was no it was just me and my sister and a bunch of our friends having a get-together. And most of it was, we lived in an apartment upstairs. These was old type homes, and there's no yard. There's a yard, but it's dirt. And we was just out there having a good time. We was dancing and stuff like that, and crazy. It wasn't really a party. We thought it was a party, but that's the first time I really got to kiss girls, really kiss. But, that Joanne Ortega, she was a firecracker. But towards the end of the party, there was this girl. I had never paid her much attention. Her name was Mary April. I don't know if it hurt to give her last name or not. Mary April Hayes. Well, I just did give it, didn't I? Anyhow, she lived about 15 blocks away. And the party was breaking up, and she was over there crying because she thought somebody was going to walk her home. And so I volunteered to walk her home. And there was no intentions on my part to like any hanky-panky with her or anything. I had never really thought of her as hanky-panky type, But I was walking home, and there's this big cemetery on the way to her house. I mean, it's big, had this big rock wall around it and all this stuff. And I had been in there before, you know, but it was daytime. And we was going by there, and we decided we was going to go in there and look around and see what we could see. But we got in that place and walking around. There wasn't any back in that day. The only street lights, there was a street light at every intersection. In other words, you come to an intersection, there was a street light that was out on wires hung out across in the middle of the intersection. And there was no street lights like every few feet down the street, you know, like there is now. So it's pretty dark. And we was walking around in there and stuff like that. And nothing had gotten romantic up to that point. But then she started snuggling up a little bit, you know, and one thing led to another, and we started kissing, and I guess you call it making out. I don't know. We wasn't doing the nasties, or back in the day I used to say bumping uglies, but it was getting, my interest was piqued, and I guess so was hers. And we sat down next to a grave and was leaning up against this tombstone or gravestone, whatever you want to call it. And I can take you to that gravestone to this day. I live about 100 miles from there right now. But we was leaning up against that gravestone, and man, we was kissing and loving it. And all of a sudden, there was a noise. Now, it's like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. If you're in a graveyard, it's almost pitch black. And you hear a noise. That's kind of unsettling. Especially if you're a couple 14-year-olds like we were. And something run across her feet and my leg. Don't know to this day what it was. But we was sure something had done come out of the ground, was getting ready to take our butts out. And she was screaming and crying, and we was running. I won't be brave to try to figure out what it was. I wanted to get the hell out of there. And we got out of that place all out of breath. I got her to her house, and dropped her off, whatever you want to call it, but I got to her house, and we didn't even kiss then when we got to her house. And I turned around and started to head back to the house. And I'm like, there ain't no way in hell I was going to go by that cemetery, because I done had it scared out of me. And I walked an extra 7 or 8 blocks just to go around that cemetery to get my butt back home. And I walked by that place a few times after that in daylight, but I never went back in there. Didn't have no desire to go back in there. And I think for a couple of years after that, I actually believed we was being punished or something for what we was doing. But in hindsight, it was probably a possum or a raccoon or something like that. Or could have even been a dog. Could have been a snake. I don't know. I mean, I felt it go across my leg, and she felt it go across her foot. And, my gosh. And after that, we was girlfriend, boyfriend for about a month. And then we broke. I was bad about getting a wandering eye when I was that age. I didn't know what being loyal to one girl was, you know. I looked at it like they was out there and they was all mine if I could get them. But I went through a lot of girls like that. But I ain't never forgotten. I wish I knew how to get hold of her. If she's living, she'd be the same age as me, 77. I think, matter of fact, her birthday was in April. Ours was in March, hers was in April. That's why she was named Mary April, because she was born in April. April 1941. She was a month younger than me. But she was a sweetheart. I can still see those hazel eyes and those little bits of freckles across her face, and that hair was almost, it was just jet black. Pretty little old girl. I wished I could get up with some people like that I had experiences with back then. I'd like to ask her thoughts about that now. But every time I locate an old friend or something from way back when I was a little teenager, every time I locate them, seemed like they had died a month or two before I found them. I don't know why that is. The girlfriend I had in Germany, a German girl, her and I was sleeping together, and she got pregnant, and I didn't even know it. I didn't even know it, that she got pregnant when I was shipped back to the States. And she had a child that was mine that I never knew about till about 6 years ago. And when I finally got back up with this German girl that I had this relationship with, I got to talk to her one time on the phone. And the only way I found her was through the internet. You know, the computer was getting big and all that stuff. And I found her, you know, doing some research and stuff. And I talked to her, and she was upset at me because I don't know why her and I never got together after I got out. I don't know. I can't recall. But when I talked to her on it was a Thursday, and she was sick. And I didn't know how sick she was. She had cancer. And she died the following Monday. And just seemed like every time I locate somebody that I was really involved with and thought a lot of, they're either dead or they're right now dying. Another girl I call it my first love, because I was, that lady I was crazy about. And I located her about 3 years after my wife died. I located where she was at. She was at the cemetery. She had already died. Just seems like every time I find an old friend, don't even have to be a girlfriend, guys that I was friends with, you know, they all dead. They're all dead. Except one. And her and I talk often on Facebook. But there's no romance or anything. She's very married, and but her health is not good. That's the girl. I don't know if I ever made that video about her, me and her with that first kiss, man, and I hyperventilated, and I always said that was the girl that took my breath away. And it was embarrassing. I hyperventilated so bad. And I don't know why, because I had kissed girls before, you know, and everything, but boy, I hyperventilated. I felt like I'd lost my breath or something. Well, I had. And she was concerned there for a couple of minutes. You all right? Yeah, I'm all right. Nothing ever come of that romance. I wound up, my brother told me this girl sister had married my first cousin, and my brother told me that her daddy, the girl I was liking real good, that her daddy told George, now George is a younger brother, and told my brother that he didn't want no more Pearsons in that family, no more Pearsons messing with any of his daughters, because it was a Pearson that married his other daughter, and which, you know, at that time I believed that her dad, so I wouldn't go around there anymore. They was down the street. I wouldn't go around there. I was scared of her daddy. But had I been more savvy, I would have known that her daddy ain't gonna tell my younger brother that's 4 years younger than me that he don't want no more Pearsons messing with his daughters. That was a crock of crap. I told my brother about it a time or two. I said, you know you lied. He said, well, I don't remember saying that. Well, he sure said it. But the pains of growing up, puppy love, that was wonderful days. Wonderful days. I'd like to go back. Anyhow, that's my dauber story for today. That Mary April in that daggone graveyard, boy, that was two scared puppies. And you would have thought that I would stop, wait a minute, I gotta be brave, and, you know, like I'm saving her or something, but hell, I might have been scarier than her. I sure wished I could talk to her. Man, time goes